Hi, it's David here with Futures Trading. I'd like to welcome you to the channel. We're going to get into some information about your pivots. So when the market breaks the pivots, when the bars overlap, I'm going to tell you some stuff about that. So please stick around from the beginning of the video until the end because you're not going to want to miss any of this information I'm going to share with you. They have managed to move themselves up. All right. They have managed to move themselves up on that daily. I told you guys that they had that hourly information right above them, but they had hit that blue bar on the daily. You can go back and look at these videos. Been kind of going over that, but they managed to get through here. Nasty little pull down when they got there. They pulled right back down. We had this information here. There was some volume going on here, and then of course they pushed up. Now notice these pivots, all right? They got some information here for you to kind of absorb in your understanding here, and they kind of dipped back and then they fell below, kind of got below there, and then they turned around and managed to come back up. Now we're above this pivot here. All right, we're above this pivot here. They're slowing down. They're wanting to. They broke this high. Now they're wanting to do this, and we're going to talk about that information there on a 1 minute chart. Give you a lot of stuff to just consider. However, the free information, I want you to take a look at it. There's a lot of stuff that I'm sharing here on the channel that you will not find anywhere online. I can promise you that. And again, I want to make sure I say this to you in case you're new. I don't offer prop firm links, enticing intros, face plastering, new strategies, hindsight analysis, or regurgitated information from other traders. I don't do that. All right. So do your best, support the channel, hit the like button, and share this information with those that you care about. Universal threshold. This is how far the live candle will pull back before resuming. The price action trend, you just need to be able to count to 10. That's it. All right. And then the universal price action method, which I follow the majority principle. And it states that the minority is compelled to follow. All right. I want to make sure that you understand that. The majority principle states that the minority is compelled to follow. All right. So they're forced. They must go with us. All right. So the universal chart scale, I will teach you how to read your hard right edge without having to look left. All right. You don't have to look left. Hindsight will never stop us out. All right. I want to make sure that you see that. Hindsight will never stop us out of a trade. If you are in the market for additional information, I do provide that should you want to learn a bit more. Okay, I got like 46 videos in here that you can stand to get some of that information should you want to do that. All right, now here's I've been talking about volume in the last couple of videos. You don't need volume. I don't have to trade with volume. I don't. I've been trading this way for a very long time, but I made some additional tools for those that use volume so they can actually benefit from it. If you want the indicator suite, you're more than welcome to $100. If you already have the indicator suite and you do not see the updated changes, you will have to incur a cost of $100. All right. So those that recently purchased the indicators, you should be able to receive those updates if it's recent. However, again, if you have the link and you're not seeing that update, you have to incur the cost because it took me some more time to make these tools. All right, I just want to be, of course, compensated for that time. If you're new, you can have $100. Everything that you're seeing. All right, so reiteration is important. I know they did a lot of this back and forth. All right, now here's the rules to that volume stuff. Pale green, light coral, that's decrease in volume, which happens to start a turn. All right, the green and the red are the increasing volume, which happens before the turn because they come into the market before it turns, and then immediately after it turns. All right, so when there is no color, it is turning or continuing. All right. So I want you to make sure you understand that this is important, really important, and this as well. All right. Now, here's the additional thing I want you to take a look at because before they went up here, you had reiteration. All right. You had the same color coming in twice. All right. Now, that's indicating profit taking or a larger move. All right. They took profits and turned the market right to the upside there. All right. We do not want to see this happening where there's lower value, right? There's lower value. Now you do get the bars with no color. No color is turning, all right? No color. Then they came in heavy here, picked it up, boom, they went to the upside. No color. Okay, now either that's to continue, okay, either it's going to continue or it's turning. All right, so it managed to turn back up. And then, of course, here's your no color here. It went up. All right, no color here came in on this top. They got heavy on the volume here, came back really heavy and didn't want to break past that. And there's your push to the downside. No color up here. All right, no color in this, no color in that. All right, so I'm trying to help you. Look. Reiteration, they supposed to go, but they're not doing that. All right. So they managed to turn it back around. All right. So there's your volume. I did put the standard volume down here if you want to dive into that and try to interpret that. I'm doing my best to make sure that I can do it for you. So, kind of put it together, know what to look for. Now we're going to talk about these zones. Let me kind of get this out your way. All right. So Before 9:30, 9:30 was here. That's the 9:30 bar. All right, that's that 9:30 bar. Let's kind of look at what was happening before then. So that way you can kind of get a good idea of what was there. All right, so we had, I don't like hindsight, but we got to kind of frame this out before we get started. All right. So we had a downtrend here, made an uptrend. They leaned over into the center of the trend, the center of the trend. The market is like you and I. Let me say this to you. The market is like you and I. Whenever you have a thought, you have the end in mind because you're thinking of the thing that you want before you actually acquire it. The market works the same way. Whenever it makes a trend, it's telling you how far it will go. All right. So this is the cost of the thought, if you will, or the center of the trend, however you want to look at it. Here's the idea, and the end is present in the idea. All right. So they had made the idea, the end is present in the idea. Now it cannot be both. That's called ambivalence of thought. You may go through that at some occasion in your life where you want to do two that's the this different things at the same time. All right, very distinct in which one you want to go with, but you're going to have to choose. That's called primary secondary values, and one of them is going to stick to you where you're going to go ahead and move in a direction. All right, and you're going to say, hey, this is the one I'm really want to go with. That's the primary. All right, so secondary going to have to wait, and so they want it to go up. So let's go ahead and do that. The market is a decision place. All right, I want to make sure that you understand that. I get the reference points of open, high, low, and close. All right. But it is a decision place. And so we're making decisions. That's what you're looking at. All right. I want to make sure you can comprehend it based on what you're already familiar with. You're already making decisions every day. This is no different. All right. So let me show you how to make better decisions. That's all. And so they went up, and here's the center of the trend. That's why I wanted to take you back just a little bit before 9:30. Here's the center of that trend. There's that 8:30. They kind of gave you a spike down there. Here comes the 9:30. All right, so now you have some context. 'Cause I know a lot of you like that. You want to look hindsight. You want to look left. You can do that, or you can just go what's right here. All right, you can kind of do that. All right, so here's a trend here. They hadn't made the trend distance. They came down and they put a trend in here. They did. They put a trend in here. Unfortunately, it didn't want to go that way. I didn't mark it, but it's in there. Let's put that there so you can actually see me do it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got 7 over here. All right, so let's do that. All right, so let me straighten this out just a bit. I want you to see how all of this works. I want you to see how it works. So let's put the trend here. The idea, the end is present with it. All right, let's do that. Let me just refresh this just for a moment. I want to refresh the chart here. All right, so the end is present with the thought itself. All right, so let's do this. You don't have to look left. You can do it just like this, and we're gonna go in real time in just a moment. Then we're gonna talk about these pivots. All right, so that's stating that they wanted to go this far. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. I'm gonna do something really quickly here so you can see this because sometimes, just sometimes they don't do it off of the trend bar, and this is something you're going to follow them. You have to follow the majority to keep up with what they're up to. Let me just throw this in here because I didn't get a chance to do it before we got on. I missed it. All right, so hit the like button, share it with someone. Again, there's a lot of information online, but I want to give you the information that will work and that's relative in real time. All right, we're going to get to real time in just a moment, but I want to put this here for you so you'll know how to do it. Now I got the indicator up there. Sometimes they'll pull back and then they'll offer it to you. All right. Sometimes they'll do that. I know they had a little one in here. But the thing I want you to definitely take a look at because we're still up. We're still up. And that's why I showed you what was happening over there. They never broke that uptrend over there. And then they made another one. All right. So stay with them. So they dove down here right into the center of that uptrend. And then they turned around and they popped that downtrend. They got rid of it. So respectfully, we're up. Okay. So we went up even higher. Okay. But then came down and began to do this. And then that's when they finally made a downtrend after breaking this uptrend here. All right. Well, this uptrend is operating inside of another uptrend. So don't be so quick to just go that way, is my point. Because they tried that before. That's all. They tried it before after making this trend. They tried it here and they tried it there and they just didn't want to go through there. So even though they turned it around here, you may want to just say, hold on just a moment before I go that way. Let me do this. Let me just wait a moment. All right. So now we got a trend here. All right. So I just wanted to make sure you can see that. Now, when it comes to the 9:30 and all the back and forth that they were doing, I want you to notice something. Look at here. All right. So we had that news or whatever happening there. Okay. You see this? So when the market I guess outperforms itself by jumping through through the pivots and take off running on you, I want you to just consider something. The moment that they break the pivot, don't be so eager to go that way. All right. I'm gonna just lay this out for you just a little bit here. Don't be so eager to just go in that direction, if you will. Just hold on. Hold on. The market is actually telling you something. All right, it's telling you something. I'm gonna just put this in front of you. You can take a look at it as I comb through this information. You can take a look at this information here. But it's telling you something. Even here, when they came back up. All right, so when the market came back up, let's go here. Okay, you're getting a response right outside these pivots. All right, so whenever they break a pivot, whenever they break a pivot, I want you to just wait a moment. Now, I go over this information that I'm showing you here. I go over this in greater detail, all right, on the playlist there. If you're interested in learning more, it's totally up to you. But I tell you some other information that you need to consider. See, they didn't want to stop there. They didn't want to stop there. So that's something to consider. All right. So when you see the market again overshoot these pivots, I want you to just wait a moment. Do not be so quick to buy that break, okay, or sell that breakdown. Don't do that. Wait a moment. Just give it a moment because there's a good chance that they may want to vacuum back and then take back off in that direction. All right. So I want you to wait a moment. All right. So now let's take a look at the things that you're supposed to be trying to find on the chart, because I did illustrate that for you, that when you pull up a chart, you're going to want to find majority. It's really important that you do that. Again, that's telling you that the minority is going to have to follow. They're compelled to follow. They cannot resist it. All right. So this is what happens with it. First, let me draw it out for you. I don't have the well, I can put it up here. I just got a lot. Matter of fact, let me draw it out because I got a lot of stuff up here. I got a lot of stuff up here. I don't want to have to get rid of that information for you. Matter of fact, let me do that. Let me take and get rid of this stuff, and I'm gonna put that template up here because I want you to take that information, and it's really important that you do so. So let me put that template up here for you, so you'll know what majority looks like on the chart. Let me just kind of slide this out frame. I'm gonna go get my background. Give me 1 second here. All right. All right, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to find majority on the chart. If you're new to trading, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for wicks. All right, so you want the big wick, little wick effect. That's what you want. All right, that's good. All right, now that's one way majority will show up on the chart. Here's another. You want a smaller body, bigger body. All right, you want smaller body, bigger body. That's another form of majority. All right, they kind of got all of it showing up right now. Let me take and do this. But they're beneath the center of the chart. That sucks. But this is what it's saying because they got all of it together. However, they're beneath the center of the chart, so they can go back down. But that's saying if they will not come back and break this bar, that they're going to get up here. All right, that's what it's indicating. All right, that's what it's saying. Now we got to incorporate the chart scale as well. I want to make sure I tell you that. That's important. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But again, the two things that we've covered thus far with majority is this. All right, this is one way that it shows up. Here's another way that it shows up. Now, here is the bar coloring. All right, now I have an indicator that's trying to find that for you. That's called the increase indicator. That's up here. Here. All right, so that's the increase indicator. It's trying to find the wicks and the bodies. It's trying to do that. Again, all of this information that you're seeing, bar coloring, text, zones, all of this stuff you can have for $400. I don't want you to go spend $300-$400 on indicators that's not going to teach you how to trade. All right. The indicators that I provide is price action based, and there's some volume stuff in there, but it's meant to guide you along to interpret the market, how to understand price movement. I'm going to tell you some other stuff in just a moment as well. All right. I want to load this video with content, just information that you can really, really begin to implement in your trading. The high here, you need the mid of this bar to exceed that high. Okay. You need the mid of this bar to exceed that low, and that's that live candle. Clearly, that's not going to happen at this point. They're coming into the threshold. Now, what happens with the threshold? Whenever the candle begins to retrace back into that threshold, typically you want them to do that. Just come right back out of it without going too far. This is how far is too far. I want to just go in and say that to you. This is a means in which the control of the candle is being determined, the live candle. All right. So now when it comes to this one, when it drops back, okay, into the prior candle, you want to see if it'll drop back and then continue on. Okay, so we want to see how far is too far I want to make sure I can show that to you. Now, currently, they haven't closed above this threshold, but I don't like that they've reached so far. So let's go here and just kind of do this and see if it's willing, just willing to get up here. Let's see. They're beneath the center of the chart. Now let's talk about the bezel. I want to make sure that you can understand how to read your chart. You do not have to look left. All right. You can do this with any market, any time frame. Everything that I'm covering on this channel has everything to do with that. You can look at any chart, any time frame, and be able to effectively trade it without anything on your chart. So you don't need my indicators. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not here to make money off of you, but there's some of you who may need an additional opinion on your chart from a professional. So I would like to give you that here. All right. So that's all on 400 bucks, something that you wouldn't miss. So if you cannot do $100, I can assure you, you have no business trading. I want to say that to you. So because trading will take a lot more than $100 from you, I can assure you of that. So you don't need to do that. You don't. So if you cannot afford to spend $100 for education, because that's all the indicators are, they're information that I've coded into a form of text or a square or a line or something to tell you, hey, that's important for now. All right. You just got to make sure price is agreeing with you. So, how do you find whether or not price is agreeing with you? Is by doing exactly what I'm suggesting. How far is too far? Let's go here. We already got an idea of how far it's saying that it's willing to go, but it's doing it again. So what we're going to do is see, can we bring that on board as well? All right. So if you're going to go again, let's do that. Now I like the stop bar. This is the stop bar, the green one. I'm okay with this one if you want to come up a little closer. That's totally up to you. But I know I like the green one for the stop. Right. This is typically your no close bar. So you don't want to see them close back under this bar. All right. You don't want to see them close back under this bar. That's the bar here that created that effect. But let's leave that there. Again, here's your bezel. Here's your bezel. I want you to focus in on this. Now, if they're going to turn it around and begin to fall, we're just going to take the threshold and kind of just, okay, pull into it and then come back out of it and go back down if it's going to go down. This is the center of your scale, all right? Your bezel, your hard right edge, the center of your scale is here. The upper part of your scale is here. Now I'm going to give a take with this information. And then the lower half of your scale is here. We wanted to see them pull into that threshold, okay, pull into the threshold and begin to come back out of it. All right. If you're going to go down, if you're going to go down, that's what you're wanting to look for. I did tell you that, they're still located beneath the center of the chart. So it's not unlikely that it can't go lower. It's not that. They can go lower if they want. I just know that it's a possible rotation present. Okay, it's a possible rotation that could appear, being that they're still below the center of the chart, and they're trying to do that. However, we definitely, now this is the first pattern that we saw with everything on it. So we don't want them to come past this threshold. And we don't want that. All right. So we want to try to keep them above that, but that's not happening. We're getting it from this side. So now we're getting it from this side here. I don't have my pressures up here. I might need to add them for you. But this is suggesting, I know it's kind of growing in size here, but this is suggesting that the market is going to move down here. Now I have some pressures that'll come on when that scenario happens. Let me go and grab them really quickly here. Let me just grab this. Give me just a moment. I want this to come on while it's happening because I'm trying to illustrate this for you and I want you to see it. All right, so let me go grab these tools. That's how far it's saying that it's willing to go. All right, so let's kind of go with that. All right, so they put all of the scenarios together, and I want you to pull up a chart and I want you to look for this. All right, so here we go. Let me just grab this $100. Again, you can have everything that I'm putting on this chart. You can have it. I'm giving it away because there's one indicator I put in here into my indicator suite that I paid over 200 bucks for. All right, and all I did was it's the functionality that I had needed. I changed what it is that I had told the individual that I wanted once I got the indicator. All right, I changed what it was referencing. So now I paid over 200 for that, and I'm giving that away as well. So you're actually getting well over 300 indicators plus one I paid over $200 for you're getting all of that for just $100. All right. So again, I'm not trying to take anything from you. I want you to see the value in the information. And again, if you're trading on a different platform, it's totally fine. That's the whole reason why I'm explaining this to you, because I only got indicators for Ninja Trader. I want you to be able to trade on whatever platform you prefer. But should you want the functionality of the tools that you're seeing, they're available for you. All right, so that's telling us that they plan to get here down at, let's say, 954. That's what it's telling us. We knew that it was possible, right? We knew that it was possible because they were still beneath the center of your chart, right? They were still beneath the center of the chart. Now they had already made our trend here, all right, and there's the distance for it, all right? They managed to get that far. You had your increase up here, all right? So we had an increase up here. It came in here, but they just didn't want to make it. But then it turned. Now here's the increase here. All right, so you got the IN showing up here. And again, that indicator is called the DTT increase. The bar color is the DTT, no touch, no close bar color. All right. And then of course you got the no touch, no close pressure. So the the mid, the mid of the mid of the candle is not touching the prior candle. So that's, the no touch effect. All right. Now, the no close is what I told you. You don't want them closing back below that bar. Okay. And they managed to do that, and they managed to take out the pattern. So that sucks all in itself. All right. I want to make sure that I say that to you. However, when it comes to the pivots, I want to make sure I express this to you again here. When you see them break the pivot, just be a little bit cautious, if you will, that the moment that they break this pivot, there's a distance that it will travel before it turns back around. All right. I spoke about the let's do this too from the bottom. All right, we can just kind of pull this one over. We don't need those others. We can kind of pull that over. I told you guys that when it came to the bar, now the bar, we're talking the bar here. We're talking the bar, and I'm gonna dive into this a little bit more while it's moving. When it comes to the bar, when you're entering above the bar, you're actually decreasing the probability of the trade working. All right, so here's the threshold. I do suspect that they may hit the lower part of the scale. If they're serious about it, they'll hit the part of the scale and then they'll come back down. They should be able to do that. But whenever you enter above the bar's high, you're running into a problem in most cases. All right, so I want you to be careful about that, new trader. If you're taking trades, do not kid yourself. You can see the big green bar, the big red bar. I can assure you, the moment that you enter the trade, any bar for that matter, you enter the trade, if you enter above the high of that bar or the low of that bar, there's a chance it will vacuum back towards you. All right. There's a chance that it's going to do that. And I want you to be careful because these pivots are indicative of the same thing. I want to make sure that you get that. These pivots are happening based on candles on a time frame that you're not currently looking at, but you're trading. So this indicator here is right here. All right, so this is the seventh supply and demand historical indicator. So it's plotting these zones based on pivots being 7 bars. All right, now there's a calculation that I'm using for the pivot. All right, and you can see they didn't get all the way there. They didn't. They managed to. Oh, we're getting it all together again. So it's suggesting that it's going to go further. Let's go and grab that distance there. You can see the pressure coming on. So here's your pressure firing off, saying, "Hey, that scenario is happening. This scenario here." Remember the mid above the high or the mid below the low. All of that is happening again. I suspect that the increase indicator may pick this one up. I tried to code it to the best of my ability. Again, I'm a trader and an educator. I am not a programmer, and by no stretch of the imagination, but I did try to put enough information into these indicators that if you're using them, you should be able to acquire $100 at, I mean, just really at using one or maybe even two of them. You don't need a whole host of them. And yeah, the increase indicator caught that one as well. All right, so that's suggesting that it's going to come down here. All right, now let's see. Yeah, that's just slightly outside of this one here. Now, once it make that distance there, I'm going to go. Now, here's another thing that I want you to consider, new trader. I'm trying to give you a couple different things here to work with. You have the majority. I just showed you 3 examples of that. You have your trend, which is duration. So how long something should last. So you're not wanting to overstay your welcome, but you definitely want to be there long enough to benefit from what it is that it's suggesting, because the market, again, it's a thought action, habit, character, destiny, process. Because this is a marketplace, the world is a marketplace of ideas. So the market is a tradable idea at best. That's all it is. You can act on that idea. And so I'm trying to give you the information so you can act on that idea. All right. So when it comes to these pivots, I want you to kind of keep that in mind. Okay. There's a behavior to it. I'm going to just kind of put this here. There's a behavior to how it trades. Now, in the private community, I do disclose information about these zones. All right. What you're seeing with the zones, there's some stuff that you need to know about when they break the pivot. There's some stuff you need to know, but I want to visually put it in front of you, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get an idea of what it is. You won't be able to figure it out exactly, but you'll get an idea of what's happening once they break the pivot. All right, I want you to kind of just consider this. I want you to take away the parts that's really, really relative to any market, any time frame, and that's majority. All right, so we got the wicks, the body, and even the pattern itself. The wicks and the bodies, that's majority happening in a small time frame. So this alone can give you a trade. So if you see a big wick on the bar and then the next bar got a little wick, you can just start there. Okay, because majority is happening. If you see a smaller body and then you see this body starting to increase, yeah, that's majority as well. But what tends to happen in some cases, you won't get this. All right, and then that's not fun. So you would like to try to get all of the pieces to come together. That's all. Try to get them all to come together. Now, one final thing I want to tell you, trader, because this information here, I have an indicator for it. I'm just not going to throw it up here. But the market, it makes a bar, right? And this is what it would do if it's going to stall you out. Okay, this is what I covered this before. I may have went over in that other video with almost the 3,000 views or so. The market will tend to do this. All right, so it would do that. It would give you roughly at least 4 bars. Now that can help with your timing. All right. Now again, there's some information I discuss and cover when it comes to this too on my playlist. And should you want to be a part of the information, it's totally up to you. You don't need it. I'm trying to give you enough information here that will suffice. But a lot of people have already shared with me. Yes, the playlist is going to definitely, it's going to ramp up your odds. It absolutely will. But if you can't make a commitment of that capacity, I totally understand. Take the free information and please implement what it is what I'm sharing with you, because I didn't have this when I first started and I'm trying to help you out. And if you like what you're hearing, hit the like button right now. Please hit that like button. Comment below. All right, let's get some information on YouTube that can actually help the trader succeed in real time. That's the whole point. In real time, I want to prove to you all that hindsight stuff people are teaching you online is completely wasting your time. I don't want you to waste your time. Time is an allotted portion at your disposal suitable for a purpose. Let me help you achieve what the purpose is. All right. So if you wake up in the morning and you're trying to trade, you purposely would like to make money. All right. You would like to spend your time wisely. I want to make sure that you're able to do just that. I want you to spend your time in a way that's reasonable. All right. Now, when it comes to overlap, you're going to see at least 4 bars, right? Most of the time. There's going to be at least this. So I want you to get ready for it. Just get ready for it. There's tons of information here to show you just that. Here's one here. There's 4 inside of that. There's 4 inside of this one. There's 4 inside of here. All right. So look, there's 4 inside of this one. So whenever, let me see. Let me see if it's one here. Yeah. Yeah, we got 4 here too. All right. So we got 4 here too. All right. So whenever you take your trade, okay, I want you to kind of get this in mind. Whenever you're dealing with that inside bar, the moment that it hits you with that inside bar, I want you to know, hey, you're in for it for at least 4 minutes. At least. I just want to kind of give you an idea of what the market will do to you. This will help with timing. All right. So you want to kind of bring that on board as well. All right. So now when it comes to the hourly, because I showed you this at the beginning of the video here, I showed you that they were in this zone. Right. They were in that zone. So that can become a potential problem for you. That's all. It can become a problem. And they're trying to lean it over. I do suspect that they may want to get back up. But that's what it's saying. Now, again, this is other information that you can have with you. The pivot range high, pivot range low, all that stuff that's on the market analyzer, which you will receive this as well. Let's see if they can stay above. Where are they at right now? 25. We want to keep them above 945. So 24,945 today. So 24,945, let's say that's about here. So let's see if they can stay above this price today. So right above this area, see, can they close above that price? I don't care about the decline, means nothing. Can they close above that price? All right. I want to see if they can close above this price. This is provided also with your the indicator suite, right? As well as, again, like I said, the specs here and these arrows, these multi-time frame arrows. You got like a 4 hour, hourly, 15 minute, all that good stuff there, flashing, kind of telling you the speed of the bar that's happening on a different time frame. All right, so they managed to reach up here. They got really close to this pattern here, to this one here. They managed to get really, really close to that, really, really close. They didn't make this one here. Okay, now location. Remember, I started out the video talking to you about this zone, right? See the zone? This this is difficult where it's happening, right? This is a lot better. Okay, this one will work a lot better as so this one here. All right, so you had to increase here, you had to increase here. Both of these are fantastic. They're not inside of this zone. All right, just want to tell you that. So just kind of put that all together. They've reached up, and here's the interesting thing about it. Look, this is what they do, and so I want you to be aware of it. Just like I showed you with the trend, okay? They managed to reach up inside of that pattern and then offer it to you instead of on the break. Now, I told you the moment that it breaks the candles high or the candles low, there's a very high chance that it's coming back because your probability decreases the moment that it breaks the high or the low of the candle. I said it in the last video. I hope you're hearing me now. The moment that they break your candle, the probability of it in continuing in that direction begins to drop off. All right. So I want you to understand the power of majority and why it's so powerful. I believe the increase may pick this one up. Let's see if we can close with that mid below that low. Now you're not waiting until the candle finished to take this trade. Okay, you would just take the trade the moment that you see the pressure come on. Now, the mid of the candle is important. It's exceeding the low. I remember we talked about that. It's exceeding the low. I'm going estimation here. Let's see if it'll break back down there and go there. Let's see if it'll do just that. All right, so yeah, it turned red. The increase caught it on this one. So let's see if it'll actually make it to that distance, and then I will go. The threshold, can it pull back? Yes, it's possible for it to lean back up in here and then begin to move itself back down. We really don't want it back up here. It was already here, a couple times here. We want to see if we could just keep it away from that, because if they come back and break this, they may want to reach up just a tad bit higher, and then that may create a whole nother experience. But look at where they're operating at. All right, so this is something I want you to kind of keep in mind whenever the market offers you all of this swinging activity. All right. First off, to see if it took out a trend. All right. So it took out that downtrend. Let's let that develop here. It took out that downtrend, okay, when they broke up to the upside here. So when it came back down, it's no longer in a downtrend. That's the first thing I want you to accept. It's no longer in a downtrend. When they did that, that's not in a downtrend anymore. They removed it. So when it comes back, it's not in a downtrend unless it can create another one. All right. So we're still, kind of expecting our trend that was here to hold up. I know it's valid, very valid trading that they do at 9:30. And then, of course, when they break back to the upside again, it's still in an uptrend. It never broke to a downtrend here. Until they remove that trend, don't worry about it. I know it'd be valid, but then they came down here and then they popped up. Now, if you were using that volume, you probably would have saw the activity just a little bit differently. All right. So the key main takeaways here, I want to make sure that you understand majority. Make sure you understand majority. There's three different components that happens with majority. The next thing that I want you to take away with you is your chart scale, your bezel. Look at your hard right edge. Understand that the chart scale, the frame that they're putting this information in, they're showing you, for the most part, how far price can go before it becomes cyclical and offer you a different perspective on the market. All right. So they're putting it in a frame. It's like a picture. It's a fluid picture, so it moves, all right? But I want you to understand that it's happening within a frame. It's offering you a snapshot of the market, all right? Now, even though it's fluid, you're going to see the market turn in front of you. So your pivots are going to happen in front of you. You don't have to use the prior one. You don't have to do that. The pivots are going to form on your hard right edge, all right? So there's your frame. I want you to take those things away. Majority, your frame. All right. So there's four components there. I'm already foundationally putting it there for you. The next thing I want you to consider is your pivots. Whenever they break your pivots, it's a candle. It's like the candle that's on the time frame you're trading. The probability of it continuing is decreasing. All right. When they break the pivot. So there's a good chance that it'll come back. All right. Uh, that's that's really important. I want you to know that. So majority is important. So when they break the pivot, majority is important. I want to say that to you. I'm trying to show you that in real time. All right. So the increase is showing you another one. All right. They still haven't. Well, they made that one. This one is a bust. So that one there, that's not going to work. All right. So they did make this one here. So we had one loss on that one there. If you're trying to count it, like can it work? This one didn't work. Right. So this one right here, it didn't work. Let's get us something here. This one didn't want to give it to us respectfully, although it offered it on the inside. It just didn't want to go straight away. All right. So want to make sure that I express that to you. Very, very important. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do, all right, aside from the pivots, here's the next thing you're going to want to do. Whenever you have an inside bar, typically they're going to hold you there for about four more bars. They're going to hold you there for four more bars. So just try to keep that in mind too. Don't be so quick to get out of the trade, but just understand what you're dealing with at that moment. It's deliberation. Like you have your thoughts and you kind of consider and think about it for a little bit. That's what the market is doing. It's deciding. It's just in a decision moment where it's wanting to decide whether or not it wants to move further in that direction. All right, so that's my time with you. Again, I celebrate the fact that you're here. Thank you so much for coming to the channel. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, if not, I understand. Please find somewhere that's suitable for the things that you want to do with your trading. Time is an allotted portion at your disposal, suitable for a purpose. Keep that in mind. So you may not, cling to the information here on the channel. I did try to make sure I make that aware when you look at the channel information here that you see what's happening. Uh, if you're going to win, it's this. Okay. It's this. And of course, it's this. All of the things in which I just described to you in real time, no matter whether or not you're going to use oscillators, moving averages, volume, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're going to win, you're winning based on the things that I'm describing to you. I'm trying to make sure that you understand the foundational components of the market. All right. So do your best to be kind with others, even if you don't come back to the channel. Be kind to everyone else that you may encounter on the way in your trading journey. Be kind to them and show them the same gratitude that you may want to show to others. All right. I wish you all the best with your trading. Thank you. Take care.